Het-Heru, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Kasankma Keperu with another video for you. In this video, I want to talk about why you should see Avengers Endgame. But before I go into that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. And if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live or upload new videos. And we also have some free ebooks for you. You can download them right now by clicking on the links below. And these ebooks will go into more information on the esoteric, new age stuff, really good stuff that can help you spiritually evolve. Now, let's talk about the importance of Avengers Endgame. And if you haven't seen it yet, you need to go check it out, okay? Now, I'm going to say something that is kind of going against the grain. I saw the film and I really didn't care for it that much. I thought it's a 3-hour long film. I thought the first 2 hours were very boring. I was kind of yawning a bit. Then the last hour, it was action-packed and you got the payoff. But the most important thing that you have to understand about this film is making history. It's now, in terms of box office receipts, got about $1.2 billion. And so it's going to surpass 2 billion, maybe even hit the 3 billion mark. So this film is historic. It's been 11 years in the making, and the MCU has made about 22 films in that franchise. So for you guys who are in the film industry or want to be filmmakers, this is something that you can look at and use as a model for aspiring to get to. But the point I really want to bring home is that this film contains a lot of really good golden nuggets about quantum mechanics. And whoops, spoiler alert, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert, so you need to turn this off if you don't want to get into the details of what's going to happen in the film. But the film deals with time travel. But what I love about this is they really explain it in a way that is not the traditional left brain linear perspective, meaning that, put it this way, I'm seeing articles that are being published by so-called noted scientists who talk about space-time, the idea that space and time are inseparable, but more importantly, that the only thing that truly exists is the now moment, and that all things are occurring in this now moment, and there's no past and no future, which is true, all right? But they're trying to make it seem like that this is some kind of real big discovery instead of them admitting the truth. The truth is that they're polarizing left brain thinking. So when you think in terms of left brain, everything you see and everything you do, you kind of visualize it or you theorize out of a linear perspective, and also out of the idea of separation, because left brain looks to separate and see how things are apart from you. It also it looks at things that they're outside of you. It doesn't take into account congregative thinking. It's only about concrete thinking. So instead of admitting the truth that their thinking is flawed, and Einstein said this, Albert Einstein, you can't solve a problem using the same mindset that created it. So they created a problem of left brain linear thought process, then come along and say, well, we're discovering something new, that really there is no outside world, that time, space, time are entangled in one another, and that the only thing that exists is the now moment, and that the past and the future are perspectives. Now listen, you're not discovering jack. You're not discovering jack. You made a mistake, because really you have a psychosis. You can't think in terms of whole brain thinking. You don't know how to use both sides of your brain, the right and the left, and integrate them to think properly is what our ancestors did, because that's how the ancient Kemetic people, the Mayan people, the people of the city of Atlantis, all those people that were able to build those great civilizations did so by integrated brain thinking, including the Chinese. And the very first Chinese were known as the Nak people. So instead of admitting that their way and their society is flawed, greatly flawed, which leads to being schizophrenic, because when you're only using part of yourself and you're not using the whole aspect of who you are, that's a type of schizophrenia. And that's why you have racism, sexism in this world, and they don't want to admit that. So then they come along with these, we've got new discoveries. No, admit the truth, you messed up. Your thinking is screwed up. You call yourself scholar, scientist, whatever, but you are not on par with our ancient ancestors who knew this stuff way before you. And what you're doing is regurgitating the information. In fact, our ancestors even told us that you can't even discover something. You don't discover things. You see, because when you are a reality generating machine, you're God, man, God, woman, what you're doing is you're changing your frequency to vibrate to something that already exists, but you can't, you have to interact with it. And the only way to interact with it is to vibrate to the same frequency that it's on, because all things exist simultaneously in the now moment. There's nothing you can discover or invent or create. That's how it is. But anyway, going back to what I was saying with Avengers Endgame, it for the first time deals with the idea of parallel selves. There's other aspects of who you are existing in parallel universes. But not only that, it explains for the first time what really time travel is about and the effects of time travel, the grandfather theory, the theory of like, well, are you going to go back into the past, do something which will affect the future and have this collapse to where you could destroy your own future? So it addresses these important questions. The grandfather paradox, the idea that when you go back in time and you change something, you come to the present, you don't come to your present, you're coming to a different present. But anyway, I'm getting into too much of this stuff. But these are some really great points they're making. But also what I want to talk to you about is that the Avengers Endgame really tackles really awesome stuff, such as the stones with Thanos, which we in ancient culture knew that how important stones were. Which is why we've always practiced with stones and charged stones and worked with stones. Nothing new to us. Infinity Stone, Soul Stone, Time Stone, we knew all about this stuff, okay? So this goes along with what our ancient ancestors were working with, and we know that the city of Atlantis was based primarily upon crystals. Kind of similar to what you see in Superman, the first Superman with Christopher Reeve and the planet Krypton. And Hollywood is giving you the secrets. They're putting this information out there in terms of the Matrix, in terms of Avengers, because they want to introduce this to you. And this is up to you to decide what you want to do. The great thing about the Avengers Endgame is because you see that the Avengers band together to fight their protagonists, the antagonist, Thanos, and they're fighting for a cause. And also, Thanos is fighting for a cause. But you have to understand that you have to protect what is yours. You have to fight for what is yours. The idea of the culture that we once had, the advanced civilization, we need to bring that back, resurrect that, and practice that ancient wisdom and knowledge through integrated brain thinking, through an understanding that who you are is an avatar, that everything is an illusion around you, and that you're interacting with that illusion to gain an experience, and that nothing really exists, that you control the scenario that you create in this world. But we're not willing to fight for that. And when you look at the movie Avengers Endgame, the Avengers were fighting to the death against Thanos because they believed in what they were doing, and so did Thanos. Thanos said, look, the universe is overpopulated. I got to depopulate it, get rid of 50% of that with a snap. My point is, beloved, we are living in a great age. You were reincarnated for a reason. And that reason is to bring back the ancient wisdom and knowledge. And there is a reason why the movies, such as Avengers Endgame, are now throwing out these little bits of information regarding our existence. And it is up to you now to stand up and say, I am not going to accept the mind control religions of Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, and Islam that seek to bury me in left brain thinking and to seek to suppress my power as God, man, God, woman. You must allow Osir to be resurrected within you so that you can take your rightful throne or position on the throne. Right now, Sebek is on the throne. Or we can even say that Set is on the throne. We have to now go to Tahuti to gain wisdom, to gain knowledge, so that we can overthrow those in power. And we cannot do it using the same mindset. that created the problem in the first place. We've got to start thinking with a more integrated brain thinking approach, meaning that you're going to have to stand up and you're going to have to fight for your way of life. We are going to have to totally reject the Western society, the Western way of doing things, in favor of looking at it from a different perspective. And that's a spiritual perspective. That doesn't mean you being indoctrinated into another religion. I'm not doing that to you. But what I'm trying to say is by nature, you're a spiritual being. And because you're a spiritual being, and in fact, that's one of the ways that they keep you from being a spiritual being is to keep you embedded in left brain thinking, which sees things as separate from you. So you can never really have that connection to source. And the only way to have that connection to source is to go into the right brain, to go into your subconscious realm and access those dimensions, those parallel realms where other versions of you exist, where you can time travel. So all of these things you see in the movie are really things that have already been here, but now are coming to light. But now you have these Western scientists who want to take claim for this. They now got this whole thing of quantum mechanics, which is turned into a pseudo-religion. And they're really pushing this stuff out there. We've always believed in this stuff. This is nothing new to us. But they're now calling it, oh, our discoveries. This is what we've unveiled. The math proves this. Get real. So I just want to give you this information. Go out there, check out Avengers Endgame. Start to do your own research and reject the mainstream way of living. Reject the mainstream politics. Reject the mainstream university education. Reject the mainstream way of eating and living. Look into the past, or the so-called past, the way our ancestors lived. Because it wasn't primitive, as they want to assign those terms and labels. It was a very advanced civilization, but because those who are in power, the ruling elite, are skilled in black magic, or they're black magicians. I don't like to say black magic, but they're black magicians. So they understand how to manipulate your psyche to erase the past and implant a new history, and consequently lead you to a dystopian future where it's going to be dark and they're going to rule. So you have to rediscover your past and understand that it was a very advanced way of life that we led. It wasn't primitive. It wasn't pagan. And because they control the mass media propaganda on the global level, they can put out this information and have everybody believe this. But it's not true. You're going to have to make a sacrifice. It's not going to come easy. And there will be people who will either have to give up their lives or make a huge sacrifice so that the masses of us can move toward a brighter future. And if you understand that you are consciousness, that you have always been and always will be, that you can never die, then the idea of sacrificing something material or your life, it's not going to make you fearful or afraid. I know I'm going to come back again and again and again. I have no problem with that. So therefore, I know that this body is just a vehicle. And this is why I try to push the idea of learning about the past and incorporating that into who I am now and getting rid of the programming that was brought to me and instilled within me, my hard drive, by society, by my parents, by the religious institutions. And I'm constantly vigilant of the fact that I have to work through meditation and trance state to filter out the negative programming and conditioning that's constantly being bombarded with through subliminal programming. You have to remind yourself who you are on a daily basis and understand your power. When things happen in my life, I always turn inward and look at myself and say, why did I manifest that? Why did I shift to that parallel world so that I can experience that. I don't ever blame these things on an outside world or on other people, because I know the people in my life are avatars. I created them. And this is proof. You can prove this. And I've given exercises time and time again where you can do them, and clearly it demonstrates that the people in your life are nothing more than the holographic projections for the purpose of you experiencing something. And that experience is taken in by the oversoul, so Neter or Nebechor can have a greater understanding of itself because it has no experience. It has power, but it doesn't have the experience because in the beginning there was only the one. And when you have only the one, there's nothing for the one to interact with. This is why Neter created individualization, so Neter can have something to interact with and gain knowledge and the experience from that interaction. And that's why Neter needs you, so that it can place its consciousness within you and experience these things. And in experiencing these things, Neter says, hey, I want to experience everything possible within, to infinity and beyond. So when we talk about the infinity stones, we're talking about Neter, infinity, no beginning, no end. That's who you are. That's the essence of who you are. And you're experiencing everything at this particular moment in time. An infinite number of lives, an infinite number of experiences, but you're only focused on this one in particular. Your consciousness or your Heru factor, your will, is focused on this one experience because there's no way you could absorb infinity. You can't even imagine infinity. But it is what's happening right now. And again, the scientists are saying to themselves, wow, when we start to look at things and understand what space-time is about, not only do we understand that the only thing is this is a now moment, but we're now realizing that within that now moment, everything is happening. Everything is happening in that now moment. All diversity, all different types of creatures, different types of universes, all are going through their own experiences and destinies right now in this moment. And whether you realize it or not, you're tuning into those different lives that you're having, not past lives, but present lives in different parallel worlds. And you're downloading information from those different lives, and you're incorporating that into you, and you're learning from them. So I want you to think about where we're going. When you see movies like Avengers Endgame coming out, and they're talking about this stuff, this is great. The planet is making a shift. And those in control and power are losing control and power. Because you don't fight them on a physical level to change things. We understand that the change begins in the mind, because everything is one. There's only the one. That's you. The minute you change an idea in your head, or you make a decision to go left instead of go right, you shift immediately to a different possibility among the infinite number of possibilities. Do you understand? And that changes the paradigm. It becomes a new ball game. Now it's only a matter of enough people making that shift that we can move to a new reality where those who are in power do not exist. We can do that. But we need enough people for that tipping point. Now I'm coming out with my second edition to the new Capital Ankh ebook, and it's going to be phenomenal. There's going to be some information in there that you're not going to read anywhere else, because I'm introducing some stuff that I've kind of gleaned from meditation and communication with the ancestors in parallel selves. So if you have purchased that ebook, you're going to get the second edition free. But if you have not purchased it, you'll get a chance to purchase it, and I'll put it out there for those who can be able to get it for just a nominal cost. But I'm telling you, we're on the cusp of something great. Change is happening. The revolution has started, but again, it's not a revolution which is a military coup d'etat. It is a revolution of the mind, because the decisions that you make, the very idea that you accept the notion that there must be an integrated way of thinking is where you make that shift. You make a small shift, and then you start meditating a little bit more. And you make it, that's another shift. And you're constantly making those shifts at small incremental stages to the point where you're going to be in a totally new parallel world. And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. Keep going. I don't want you to, everybody's saying that, oh, well, if you can really shift to a parallel world, wouldn't you see things totally different? It doesn't work that way. You don't have enough power to shift, to make that large quantum leap. So you have to do it in incremental stages. And your mind, the psyche, has to digest the change, because the mind is, the way you're indoctrinated into the society, into the ideology of the society, it's going to resist. It's going to push back. So you have to make those small incremental changes and give the mind time to accept the changes. Did you know the mind actually, it works in the background to rationalize, to logically think through things, because it's not going to do something that's going to put you in harm's way. That's why sometimes fear can be a very good thing, because fear can be a protective mechanism against you doing something totally ridiculous. Like one day just getting up, I'm going to quit my job and start my business. Well, you have to save up first and put money away that could last, so you can live off those savings for about 6 months while you're operating your business. You just don't want to wake up one day and just say, I'm going to quit. You get to prepare for something like that. This is why fear kicks in sometimes. But I'm telling you, there is going to be an eventual fight, because the ruling elite is not going to give up easy. They know that the clock is ticking. Their time is limited. They've done so much damage to the planet to where we have to move to a new world and leave them behind. And hopefully, Het-Heru will deal with them. But don't think you can deal with them because you don't have the power, because they're very powerful. They do control time, space. They understand the occult. They understand magic better than you do. So learn, study, incorporate a new way of thinking, a new life for yourself that is based upon spiritual principles, that's based upon Ma'at. And I'm excited for the future in knowing that the masses of people are finally waking up. This is Het-Heru, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. Ma'at is a beautiful goddess, Het-Heru, Hathor. Until my next video, Amen Ra.